All right, I'd like to welcome you back today. What we're going to do today is actually work with manufactured glass. In a previous video, we popped the bottom of a glass bottle off. And this goes out to a little friend of mine. We were talking about it, and he says, well, there's two different types of bottles. So you got kid soda and man soda. So we're going to take our man soda bottle bottom and turn it into a arrowhead today, or a projectile point. But I wanted to kind of show just a little bit about some of the other manufactured glass you can work with. This is another man soda or beer bottle. You see this style, just pretty much of a triangular, a lot more over on the East Coast, like near Georgetown, Yorktown, Williamsburg. They found a lot that were very similar to that. Notched points, as we see here, decorative notch points. This particular stuff is called dicuric glass. It's really reflective. You can get this at a lot of the craft stores or ceramic stores. They actually fuse glass together for you. So you have the dicuric glass is actually black on one side and then colored on the other, and it'll have some sort of, it'll either be plain or it'll have a design on there. And they'll fuse a clear piece of glass on top of it. And dicuric glass makes a wonderful little projectile point if you want to do something for a wall or give it as a gift or a friend like that. Wonderful, wonderful pieces. But we're going to be working with manufactured glass today. And I like working with it because it helps you really hone your technique, because a lot of things can go wrong. And essentially all we're going to be using today is our medium, whatever we're working with, so our manufactured glass, some sort of pad to protect our hand. This is rubber, and then a pressure flaker, and a grinding stone or an embrader. So to start off, what we're going to have to do is imagine essentially a triangle in the center of this piece, and then we'll essentially bring it out. But as we're doing that, we want to remember two things. You have a middle, so then there's essentially two sides to it. In the middle is our meridian line or equatorial line, our middle line. And when we pull off a flake, we want our platform to be on one or the other side of that line. So if we're pulling flakes off of this side, we want to make sure that our platforms are on that side of the line. If we're pulling flakes on this side, obviously we're going to have our platforms be on that side of the middle or meridian or equatorial line. So let's go ahead and get started. And what we're going to do is quickly just kind of knock this down, and we'll get that triangular shape. And then we'll start fine-tuning it and refining it and get some really nice scar patterns on it. So we're just going to go ahead and really quickly knock some of this down. And so we have a platform here, so I'm going to take a flake off this way, and I'm going to be pushing directly in, and then when I feel like I've got enough force, I'm going to pop it off the sideways. Now, to learn how much force it is, it's going to take practice, hours and hours of practice. Some of the old Flint nappers that kind of started the programs, or kind of brought this back to life, say that a beginner should go through about 100 pounds of obsidian in order to feel pretty proficient. Now that's a lot of obsidian, so we can use the bottle bottoms to replace that obsidian because it works just as good. It can exaggerate some of your flaws, so it can really make you become a much better flint napper really quickly, and I really love using it. So our first platform is right here. I'm actually going to highlight it here. Hopefully you can see the white edge. It's right here. And I'm abrading it, and essentially what that abrading is doing is creating little micro fissures, microscopic cracks right at the surface. That's where the flake is going to peel away from the core. So we're just going to push in, and then really at the last second we're going to pop down. So in and down, in and down, in and down, and we're just going to continue that all the way around. We'll do this side until the sharp edge gets to the middle, then we'll kind of grind it making that edge move over to the other side, which will then give us those platforms that we need to work on the other side. So I'm going to work kind of quickly, and you can just follow along real quick. All right, here's a really good illustration. Don't worry about breaking things because it happens all the time. You put a little too much force, or there could have been a problem with us popping the top of the bottle off. Now you could either throw this away, or you could just go ahead and continue working. And I think that's what we're going to do. So we've got essentially a nice triangle shape there that we can try to achieve. So we just need to take a little bit off of here, and then we'll just take that curvature off, and we get a pretty good triangle. So that's what we're going to go for. Now, right here, we don't have a whole lot of angles because it's a nice straight up and down edge. So we're going to have to create those. And you just kind of work it until you can kind of find a platform, something that you can pull off. And then you can it'll start going a whole lot easier. Okay, we're starting to get a nice sharp edge here. We're taking that down. Now we're going to take this point and we're going to essentially scissors. We're going to take a flake off this way, which is going to create a platform on this side. I'll take a flake off this side, which will create a platform on that side. We're just going to continue doing that all the way down till we get to this point. Okay, we're getting some pretty good scar patterning. I don't know if you can see they're starting to layer up. They're creating these ridge lines. At the bottom of that ridge line is another platform. So when we prepare that platform and to take this off, we're going to try to follow those ridge lines, and it'll actually extend. It'll make that flake where it stopped here, it will carry it over more. What we want to try to do is get about right in the middle. One thing you'll realize once you start pushing them, you actually will shoot it all the way across and knock out the back side. It's called an overshot. It's a little frustrating, but you know, take it with a little grain of salt. Say, just give yourself a pat on the back saying, hey, look, you're really pushing those flakes over really far. You're doing a good job. Always, you know, give yourself credit. It can get really frustrating if you forget that, you know, you're a beginner and you just expect to have great things come right off the gate. Now when you see me doing this, what I am doing is I'm crushing the edge just a little bit so that way it brings the center or the meridian, the sharp point across that meridian line or equatorial line. And all you do is you just take that and you just roll the side of your flaker down around that edge. Now this would be a really good time because we're getting into where we're starting to want to make sure our flakes do a particular thing. So what I'm doing is when I'm holding this, I'm actually bracing it against a finger, and these two are just kind of holding it down, and when I push, it's pushing from one edge across and using my finger as kind of a stop. And then the flake will fall right in there. We want to push in and then pop down. Now I'm changing my finger because I'm getting towards the end of this to this finger here. This one and this one are going to hold on to it. Just hold it against the pad. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on there, but I'm making sure that my hand is against my leg because it acts as it's kind of like a vise. Then it helps stop the pressure from being bending my hand. And when you pressure flake, you want to make sure you use your stomach as well. Kind of tighten your stomach, and you pop with your leg. I can kind of tell you the process, but actually how to do it, and it's just how you're going to have to learn how to work your body to make it work, because you have to build that muscle memory. Now at the very end, down here, I use my pinky to kind of hold it, to brace it against. All right. I'm going to work on this bottom piece a little bit. We're starting to get that triangle that we want. Now you want to be really careful when we start getting down to about this point. We can just really just bust that right in half if we put too much force. So really take your time. Okay, I think we'll do one last pass, and it's going to be pretty much done. Then we'll just do the basal end at the very end. We'll call it good. It's looking pretty good. Now there's always going to be a curvature to it this way because just the stone isn't thick enough for us to work it flat. Okay, now we're going to work on that basal end. Okay, we're at a point where essentially it's what they had over on the East Coast, relatively close. Now if you wanted to make it like the other ones, that would be notching. And notching, it just takes another tool. Something really skinny. But you work it exactly the same way. You're just going to push in and down. So I happen to like it when there's a little notch right here at the very basal end. Gives it kind of a kind of like a whale's tail look to it. Then we'll create a little notch here on the side. Now, when you go to notch it, that's probably when you're going to break the majority of them. All right, 2 notches, base of land, nice little arrowhead or projectile point. Didn't take too long, and it was all recycled glass. You gotta love it. A great gift for somebody. Thank you very much for spending your time with me and watching.